Welcome to my channel. Read to Lead. Today, we're taking on a book that doesn't just retell human history, it scrambles it, shakes it up, flips it over, and hands it back to you with a raised eyebrow. Sapiens, by Yuval Noah Harari, is the kind of book that leaves you staring at your hands thinking, wait, what exactly am I? It's bold. It's provocative. It's mischievous. And it's scarily persuasive. Harari doesn't just talk about kings, queens, wars, or inventions. He zooms out, way out, until humanity looks like a weird, fidgety species of hairless monkey scrambling around on a spinning ball of rock. And then he zooms back in to show the intimate patterns of psychology, the illusions we cling to, the myths we inherit, and the dreams we chase. Over the next half hour, I'm going to walk you through the entire arc of the human species, from clueless ape to self-appointed god. From the moment our ancestors first lit a campfire to the moment we started playing with artificial intelligence and designer babies. But I'll also weave in reflections from philosophers like Nietzsche, Hobbes, Rousseau, Heidegger, and others who spent their lives trying to answer the same question Harari wrestles with. What does it mean to be human? So grab a drink, sit back, settle into your curiosity. Let's begin our journey into Sapiens, the story of the most dangerous animal on Earth. Part 1, The Cognitive Revolution, when an ape began to dream. Imagine the world 70,000 years ago. No cities. No farms. No smartphones. No coffee shops with Wi-Fi passwords that always start with, guest 123. Just countless species spread across the planet, and among them, several species of humans. There wasn't just us. There were Neanderthals, bigger and stronger than we ever were. There were Denisovans, mysterious and powerful. There was Homo erectus, the original traveler. And somewhere in Indonesia lived the adorable Homo floresiensis, often called the Hobbit humans. We were not inevitable. We were not destined. We were not even particularly impressive. And yet, somehow, out of all the hominid species, we survived. We thrived. We conquered the entire planet. Why? Harari gives us one of the most compelling answers in modern thought. Sapiens evolved the ability to imagine things that do not exist. And not just imagine them privately, but believe in them collectively. This was the cognitive revolution, the moment our minds unlocked a new dimension, the dimension of shared fiction. We could believe in ancestors that continued watching over us. We could believe in spirits that controlled the rain, the wind, and the hunt. We could believe in tribal identities, symbols, myths, and magical stories. Now here's the key point. Whether these stories were factually true didn't matter. What mattered was that other people believed in them too. And suddenly, we could cooperate in large groups. 10 people can work together because they know one another. But 10,000 people can work together only if they share a story. This is the glue of society. Nietzsche had his own mischievous take on this. He argued that human truths were simply illusions we forgot were illusions. Harari takes that idea and blows it up to the size of civilization. From money to religion, from nations to corporations, our world rests on shared myths. But here's the twist. Humans became the planet's ruling species not because we're the strongest, or fastest, or smartest, but because we're the best storytellers. Every human institution, from your passport to your bank account to the Olympic Games, is nothing more than a story billions of people agreed to believe. And that, my friends, is how an ape took over the world. Part 2, The Agricultural Revolution, the biggest scam in history. For tens of thousands of years, humans lived as hunter-gatherers. We roamed the land, followed the seasons, shared food, and spent our days socializing, exploring, and occasionally running for our lives from a hungry lion. Then something happened. Something that we usually celebrate as the dawn of civilization. Humans began to farm. Now, you might think. Well, great. More food. More stability. More progress. But Harari looks at the evidence and says, actually, farming was the biggest fraud ever pulled on humanity. And when you look closely, he has a point. Hunter-gatherers ate hundreds of different plants and animals. They had varied diets, lots of leisure time, and relatively equal social structures. But farmers? They worked longer hours. They ate more monotonous diets. They suffered more disease from living in crowded villages. Their bodies bent, twisted, and wore out from repetitive physical labor. Humans didn't domesticate wheat. Wheat domesticated humans. It forced us to settle down, defend land, store grain, fight wars, and have more children to work the fields. Suddenly, people became tied to a small patch of earth, living harder lives with fewer freedoms. This takes us straight into the philosophical tension between Hobbes and Rousseau. Hobbes imagined prehistoric life as short, violent, and miserable. Rousseau imagined early humans as peaceful and free, corrupted by civilization. Harari argues that neither philosopher got it fully right. The truth is messy. Humans before farming had better diets and more leisure, but farming allowed large populations, cities, writing, and eventually medicine, technology, and culture. So, was it worth it? That depends on who you ask. If you ask the average early farmer, covered in blisters, starved half the year, terrified of raiders, and working from sunrise to sunset, probably not. But the agricultural revolution set in motion a series of events that led us here, to the modern world. It created kingdoms, mathematics, writing, complex societies, and eventually, the scientific revolution. Yet it all began with a scam. A beautifully seductive scam. Work harder today, and life will be better tomorrow. A promise humanity would chase for thousands of years. Part 3. Humankind unifies, money, empires and religions. As societies grew and villages turned into cities, humans needed new ways to cooperate. More people meant more conflicts, more needs, more expectations. And so humanity invented 3 massive systems that would bind strangers together. Let's start with money. Money is the greatest story ever told. It is the most universal, flexible, and adaptable system humans created. It works not because it's physically valuable, but because we collectively trust it. If you hand someone a paper bill, they accept it because they trust that someone else will accept it too. Money is a fiction we choose to believe. Then we move to empires. Empires are complicated beasts, often violent, often oppressive, but undeniably powerful. They unified large regions under common languages, laws, and infrastructures. They connected distant lands, spreading ideas and technologies. Though built through conquest, they also brought standardization, trade, and cultural exchange. Finally, religions. Harari redefines religion in a striking way, not as belief in a god, but as belief in an order that is superhuman, eternal, and universally binding. Religion gives life meaning. It gives societies morality. It allows strangers to trust one another. Heidegger believed that humans are meaning-making beings, thrust into a world they desperately try to interpret. Religion creates that interpretation. It offers a cosmic explanation, a moral code, and a sense of belonging. But Harari never romanticizes religion. He also shows how it has justified war, hierarchy, sexism, and oppression. Religion unifies, but it also divides. Across thousands of years, money, empires, and religions turned chaotic landscapes into interconnected civilizations. They shaped everything we call human culture. They didn't just organize the world, they created the world. Part 4. The Scientific Revolution, when ignorance became a superpower. Around 500 years ago, humans discovered something revolutionary. Something so simple, yet so powerful, it changed the entire course of history. We discovered, we were ignorant. Earlier civilizations believed all important knowledge was already known. The scriptures held the truth. The elders held the wisdom. The gods had revealed everything necessary for life. But then came an unexpected intellectual breakthrough. What if we don't know everything? What if we can learn? What if we can experiment, observe, test, and improve? This was the birth of science. Science thrives on the unknown. It is a system built on curiosity, doubt, and constant revision. Harari argues that science and empire became partners. Explorers sailed to new worlds not just to map territory, but to gain knowledge. Scientists studied the world, and their discoveries fueled economic and military power. Power funded more science, and science returned more power. And in the middle of all this, capitalism emerged as the new organizing force. Capitalism promised growth, endless growth. And the world, hungry for progress and wealth, embraced it. But growth comes at a cost. Nature began to break under the pressure of human desire. Forests fell. Animals were pushed to extinction. And humans became trapped in the cycle of endless work and endless consumption. Nietzsche warned that modern humans would lose themselves chasing external rewards, forgetting to develop internal meaning. Harari's critique of capitalism echoes that warning. The scientific revolution was a triumph, yet it also created new anxieties. We gained power, but we lost stability. We gained knowledge, but we lost certainty. Humanity stepped into the future with confidence and trembling hands. Part 5: The Industrial Revolution, when time became money. 200 years ago, industrialization arrived like a thunderstorm. Machines multiplied human strength. Factories organized human labor. Cities expanded faster than anyone could imagine. Suddenly, time itself became regimented. People woke by the clock. Worked by the clock. Ate by the clock. Slept by the clock. Human life became synchronized with machines. The industrial age transformed everything. The planet was redesigned to maximize efficiency. Nature turned into resource. Animals into products. Humans into workers. Harari points out the devastating cost of industrial farming. Billions of animals live and die in systems that deny their basic instincts. Their suffering is invisible behind supermarket packaging. This is one of the darkest legacies of human progress. But industrialization didn't just change society, it changed the human psyche. People became consumers. Identity became a brand. Happiness became a product you could supposedly purchase. Eric Fromm wrote about the shift from being to having. Harari shows that consumerism became our new faith. We pray at the altar of products, trends, gadgets, and upgrades. And yet, the more we consume, the emptier we feel. The industrial world brought material abundance but emotional starvation. Which raises a haunting question. Are humans any happier today than they were thousands of years ago? Harari's answer is ambiguous. We've minimized suffering, but maximized dissatisfaction. We've conquered the world, but lost connection with ourselves. Part 6: The Human Condition, Why We're Never Satisfied. One of Harari's central arguments is psychological: humans are never satisfied for long. This is due to what psychologists call the happiness baseline. Whether we become wealthy or lose everything, our emotional state drifts back to its familiar range. Evolution didn't shape us to be happy, only to survive and reproduce. This is why humans keep striving, keep chasing, keep competing. It's why even in prosperous societies, anxiety and depression rise. It's why the promise of, once I achieve this, I'll be happy, is usually a lie. Buddhist philosophy recognized this thousands of years ago. It teaches that the human mind is a restless, craving machine. Harari echoes this insight: happiness isn't found in external conditions but in training the mind. Yet modern society teaches the opposite. We are told to chase pleasure, success, status, possessions. And we wonder why satisfaction fades like mist. The human condition, Harari suggests, is built on longing. We are creatures forever seeking something just out of reach. Our myths, our nations, our religions, our ideologies, they are all attempts to soothe the eternal restlessness of the mind. We conquered the planet. But not our own desires. Part 7: The Future, Homo Deus and the Rise of Superhumans. After tracing our past, Harari turns to the future, and this is where things get wild. Humanity is beginning to rewrite the rules of life itself. Through genetic engineering, biotechnology, nanotechnology, and brain-computer interfaces, we are stepping into a new evolutionary phase. For the first time, humans can design new kinds of humans. We can edit DNA, modify embryos, and potentially create abilities that no natural organism ever had. At the same time, artificial intelligence is rapidly becoming smarter, faster, and more capable than the human mind. Algorithms already know our preferences, predict our behavior, and influence our choices. We may soon live in a world where AI systems understand us better than we understand ourselves. Heidegger warned that technology is not just a tool, it changes what it means to be human. Harari agrees. He believes we're on the cusp of transforming into Homo Deus, godlike beings with powers that were once the stuff of mythology. But this transformation comes with risks. We could create a new species divide, upgraded humans and ordinary humans. We could hand our decisions over to algorithms. We could lose autonomy, identity, and meaning. And if AI surpasses us, not through rebellion, but through irrelevance, we may become a species whose purpose has expired. It's an exhilarating and terrifying possibility. Part 8, the final question: what do we want to become? After stretching our story across 70,000 years, Harari ends with a question so profound it lingers in your mind long after the book is closed. We've become the rulers of the planet. We've redesigned ecosystems, economies, cultures, and even our own biology. We hold immense power. But what do we want? Do we desire freedom? Longevity? Happiness? Knowledge? Control? Transformation? Humanity has achieved the power of gods, but still has the desires of apes. Bertrand Russell once said that the greatest challenge of humanity is balancing power with wisdom. Harari suggests that our species has mastered power but is still clueless about wisdom. We know how to conquer. We know how to build. We know how to innovate. But we have no idea what will make us fulfilled. And so the story of Sapiens ends not with answers, but with an invitation. To question everything. To examine our myths. To challenge our stories. To choose our future consciously, rather than stumble into it blindly. Because the next chapter of humanity is not yet written. Thank you for joining me on this deep journey through Sapiens, one of the most transformative books of our time. If this expanded exploration opened your mind or stirred your curiosity, then I invite you to become part of this channel's community. Please like the video. Share it with someone who loves big ideas and big questions. And subscribe for more long-form summaries, deep dives, and mind-expanding conversations. Your support helps me continue creating thoughtful content that feeds curiosity and sparks new perspectives. Until next time, stay curious, stay conscious, and never stop exploring what it means to be human.